Hey everyone, how's it going? Pixels here. I've just finished watching the dev Q&A, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick breakdown of everything that happened because it was nearly 2 hours long. I think it lasted quite a long time. They did go over some good things. There was some L's that I've got to take from the stream as well that we will get into as well. So like I said, I just want to do a quick breakdown for you guys, kind of just have it in a more digestible format rather than sitting there watching the whole dev Q&A. So first things first, let's begin. The main thing that they really talked about here is that Leatherface will not be required to start anymore this month. So that's a really huge thing. To be honest, I was very surprised they actually went and took this seriously and took this on board from a lot of feedback from the community. I'm not sure how that's going to work. There will be a lot of growing pains with that, I think. And, you know, seeing different team comps like Hitchhiker Cook with Sissy and Hitchhiker Cook with Johnny, you know, just having those characters there and how that's going to play into destroying wall spaces or the crawl spaces, sorry, and destroying the obstacles is going to be very interesting. Also, who's going to be spawning in the basement? So this is actually going to be happening by the end of the month as well. So possibly in the next big patch when Black Nancy drops, they did say that the content will be coming this month as well as part of one of the questions that was asked and answered. So the content will be dropping this month. That has been confirmed. So by the end of this month, probably I'd expect when or before Chucky drops on Dead by Daylight, if I'm being honest. So it should be an interesting one coming the end of November here. So yeah, Leatherface won't be required to start the game anymore, and I'm really interested to see how that plays out, honestly. So for the next one, they said that they only have 6 to 9 months of content planned. Now, I don't understand this. I feel like if he's designing a new game, he should have about 2 years of content planned. But also that depends on what type of budget and money you have. I feel like this game has been very low budget in terms of the design quality, if I'm being totally honest. You know, so many games coming out now with, I would say, smaller dev teams seem to be pulling off way better things than what we've seen at Sumo Nottingham and Gun here. But you know, it's not really a bad thing. I think they're just sort of testing the water, seeing, you know, if the game's not going to be popular after a year, what's the point in going further? However, I feel like they were just kind of playing it safe there. They didn't want to make any false promises, but it did sound like they are going to have an anniversary event at least, because they have got a steelbook in the works for you guys to pick up, or if I wanted to buy one as well, a steelbook version of the game. The reason they didn't do a steelbook version of the game before it came out was apparently the company that makes them was so backlogged from, you know, COVID and the pandemic, where there was just this lag once everything did come out where they couldn't get a steelbook made. So at least we're going to be getting that. They said they're going to have that planned for the anniversary, so it does look like they have something planned for the anniversary of the game at least. And whether that's going forward with even more content, I suppose that's up to us as a player base, if we're still sticking around and playing the game then and buying things. Someone did ask if there will be events in the future. They said they would be. Didn't really go into too much detail about that. They are never releasing a roadmap. Now this is kind of bittersweet for me. I always feel like roadmaps are very, very important to a game's lifespan and health and, you know, player retention. I think roadmaps can be very important to player retention. You know, caring and knowing what is going to be dropping in the game. Not specifically, of course. They have an internal developer roadmap. You know, they said they don't want to make false promises. Totally understandable. But, you know, I always think there's ways you can tweak an internal roadmap to make it a public roadmap to where it's not so specific, it's not so concrete, to where people can expect, oh, you know, in these next 9 months you can expect, you know, X amount of maps. We'll try, you know, at least say you'll try to get X amount of maps or X amount of characters out, and if it looks, you know, juicy enough for the player base, and then they can turn around and say, oh wow, okay, well, I guess I'm investing some time into this, it's going to be worthwhile doing that. So yeah, it's just interesting not add a roadmap to a game. Honestly, I really think it's very, very important to have that these days. They did say future patches will take 30 to 45 days now. That means we're basically going to be going on monthly big patches, which I think is probably a better way to do things. I think when they were in their hotfix phase, it was kind of weird, if I'm being honest. I felt like they were pushing themselves for no real gain into the game. There was some things that needed to rest pretty quickly, but at the same time, I feel like the hotfix phase didn't really do a lot to improve the game going forward. There was a lot of changes that actually made the game feel worse, especially when they removed PC crossplay and all the stuff that went along with that, and, you know, the 5-minute countdown timers in the lobby and stuff. So that's an interesting one. There also will be no crossplay with old gen basically they said that would never happen. It's too hard, it's too expensive, and it's too complicated to do. Unfortunately, anyone who's on last gen, you may have to pick up an Xbox Series S, X, or a PS5 in order to play with the rest of the player base, because again, like I said, it feels like a low budget game. They don't want it. They're kind of doing stuff on the cheap here. They probably don't want to do a crossplay for old gen systems. And like I said, they feel like it's going to be too much work. Meanwhile, you know, multiple other games are doing that. You know, this is a brand new game, just come out in 2023. You feel like it's something that should have been implemented before the game come out. But unfortunately, I guess they chose the route of not doing that. If they're such a small dev team, I can kind of see why they did that. You know, maybe they want to focus on just updating the game for next gen consoles. However, they did bring the game out on old gen consoles, so why bother releasing them on old gen in the first place if, you know, those are just going to be stuck with that like specific player base? Because I couldn't imagine trying to queue on PS4, Xbox One right now in this game. I feel like it would be a real fucking pain in the ass. So next thing we talked about is level 99 may get skill tree bonuses. Level cap will be increased past level 99. And they were a bit vague about this, to be honest. You know, they were talking about how they're looking at the skill trees, how to improve them as well going forward. We're not going to have, you know, the ability, like we all wish, you know, to save the loadouts and stuff for the skill trees. But they did talk about that a little bit. But they're going to increase the level cap to gain, you know, more rewards and things. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. The in-game currency for unlockables has also been confirmed that they're looking at adding to the game. So that means you can be earning some in-game currency to actually buy some things to use in the game as well, which is absolutely fantastic. This is something that I've been asking for, something they've been looking at adding as well. So we will probably be seeing that in the near future. They never give us a date or anything like that. They just said, you know, stay tuned, the usual response. So, you know, adding in-game currency there is very, very vital, something that's earnable, something that we can earn towards to unlock things. Again, this is what I was talking about in my video earlier today. Having something to progress in the game is very, very vital, and that needs to be done. They also said new perks will be added, and some old ones might be removed as well. Understandable. I feel like there's a lot of filler perks in the game, a lot of useless ones currently, and they will be adding new ones with the new characters, obviously, as well. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But like I said, there's a lot of filler ones that I want taken out of the game, if I'm being honest. Some of them just seem so pointless, you know. Chicken Whisperer, for example, I suppose is not particularly a great one, but there's a bunch that you could go through and say, why is this in the game? It's not going to do anything, really. The next one is game is twice as fast as the dev expected, but the rush meta won't be changed. This is them basically saying that they don't want the overall game or how people play the game to change. They are going to be introducing a stealth buff in the next update as well. But they did say that the rush meta, there's not really something on their cards where they want to you know, hinder the way people want to play the game. If people want to rush through the game, that's fine for them, but that's not something they're looking at doing, and they want to stick to maybe you know, kind of showing that stealth gameplay can be more beneficial than doing a rush meta. So we'll see what happens with that. No crossplay friends list ever, too expensive and difficult. This one kind of fucked me off a little bit, because they said things like, you're going to have to put a system in place. We're going to require people to sign up to the game and, you know, make a username, a password, and stuff like that. I'm not going to pretend I know how crossplay works in depth in a lot of games. However, we all know, I think it's because this game didn't release on the Epic Games Store, right? If you look at games like Evil Dead, for example, I don't remember or even requiring to sign up to anything in order to play the game online. I didn't remember going onto the Saber website and creating a fucking Saber account to be able to play crossplay with friends and to add crossplay friends lists, basically. I don't remember that being a requirement at all, so I find it was kind of weird that that was their only solution. But again, Evil Dead did release on Epic, and I feel like Saber Epic do have a little bit of partnership there. Texas isn't released on Epic, you know, it's Steam and the rest of them. And I think the same goes for Dead by Daylight, though. That's a bit of a weird one as well. I think Dead by Daylight has the username with a code system, right? So you type the username with their code and then you can add people. I think that happens for a lot of games as well. So I don't really buy that as an excuse, really, saying you have to go to a certain website and sign up, because maybe I did do it back in the day. I really can't fucking remember for this, for Dead by Daylight or Evil Dead. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'm pretty sure you just logged onto the game and you had a little code next to your name and then you just added people on Dead by Daylight. And I'm pretty sure the same thing went for Evil Dead. You could just search for people's gamer tags and they would show up. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and there was no requirement to go on a third-party site or anything to sign up there. So I'm not really taking that as an excuse from them, if I'm being brutally honest. I feel like there is definitely methods out there. They just, like I said, this game feels like it's going to be done with a very low budget, done on the cheap, and they don't want to add that stuff in. So the next one from the dev stream was single-player museum mode, like Virtual Cabin is coming. I never did the Virtual Cabin thing on Friday the 13th. Obviously, some of you guys might be aware of that. But they are going to be adding that to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so having like a single mode, which should be interesting, as they call it museum mode. That's what it's going to be called. Earnable content is confirmed, but character prices will not change. So $10 for the characters has been the concrete price point now. They have said they're not changing the price of that. I still don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, I feel like they did say that they will potentially be adding bundles and sales for the characters in the future, but they try to defend this again, coming out saying, well, we got to look at a lot of metrics here, how long it takes for us to make a character, how long it takes for us to do the mocap for the character, and what, you know, in terms of design goes into the character and time to create the character, which I totally get. You know, you don't want to make every content for free. However, I think $10 is still a big price point for a single character in a video game. I really do. I think that's a lot of money. Obviously, you know, people, they spend crazy amount of money on microtransactions, and you know, a lot of times people don't really look at the price of what they're paying for. You know, there's a $65 fucking horse in Diablo 4, but this is a new character, and I think it's totally different to like a cosmetic. And $10 to, you know, play as a new character, I still think it's really steep. I know a lot of people out there, they probably don't have $10 or $20 to spend on 2 new characters out. I just think it's kind of bizarre. I think, you know, $7, I think that's relatively fair. You know, it's $3 less. You might get more people buying them as well. You might actually earn more profit if you make something cheaper there. You know, even $15 for both of them, you know, something like that would be fine. I just think $10 but each character is just really, really bizarre. I can't get behind that at all. They did say that they're not going to be adding any skill-based matchmaking as well. So they kept saying, to their response to this basically was that they don't see this game as a competitive game. And I've, you know, echoed this a few times in my stream to you guys that have had concerns about lobby issues and stuff like that. I always said, they said before the game came out, and they've just repeated it in this stream here, is that they don't see this as a competitive game. This is such a dilemma and such a big problem. It's controversial at the moment. You know what I've always said about the lobby issues is they treat the game like they gave us the tools to treat the game competitively, but they didn't want a competitive game. However, they have just removed the profile levels. They removed the lobby, like being able to see if people are in parties as well. So they removed all that, but we can still see what map we're playing on as well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is probably the only map before now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the only ASIM game where you could see the map before it launched. I don't know if it was the same on Friday or some other games. Maybe it's Ghostbusters you could see it on. That's more of a party game compared to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this game it's like 2 different things right now. It's like this really serious entity and this really fucking, like, you know, trying to be this really simple and party game type of thing, but the community is seeing it in a totally different light. But Gun is seeing it as something that they don't want to see it as. Like I said, they don't want to add skill-based matchmaking because it's not a competitive game. But the community side of things is a PvP game. It's an ASIM game. It is already competitive to them. So whether Gun likes it or not, they should be looking at ways to do a skill-based matchmaking. And the way they did it was, you know, showing profile levels, showing parties, showing the map, showing, you know, character levels, showing what perks your teammates are using and things like that. It's a lot of tools for 7 people to look at and be like, all right, what can we do here? Should we put Bomb Squad on because there's a Hitchhiker on the other team? You know, the last second swaps to Hitchhiker so Bomb Squad doesn't become a threat. You know, those types of things is what's making the game competitive. So if you're going to have, you know, those systems in place for the player base to decide what to do, it's already making the game competitive. And therefore, whether you like it or not, Gun, you need a skill-based matchmaking or rank system in place to help the newer players get into the game more against the people who are way more experienced And that way, you know, you're not going to be getting new people coming to the game and being totally turned off because they got killed in the first 30 seconds as Leatherface, because they were just like, well, what the fuck? What do I do there? You know, how do I combat that? And, you know, they can't have a chance to combat that because maybe it's every single game they're going against the same type of Leatherface who can just one-shot them in the basement. You know, that's the problem there. And I'm just trying to see it from both perspectives here. If I was a new player coming into this game, I didn't understand what the hell I was doing. And I see, you know, this Leatherface just come revving towards me. And the only thing I can run towards is a door. But, you know, all of a sudden I just get one-shotted and I'm killed in the first 30 seconds while waiting in a lobby for 5 minutes. I'm probably going to uninstall the game. You know, I waited that long, I'm probably going to uninstall the game. This is, and the same thing goes against for the family side as well. You know, you're loading into a game. Oh shit, the victims are rushed out. Well, grandpa's awake. What the hell is going on? You know, they're just fleeing around, just trying to salvage the operation here, and they don't understand what's happening. And then, you know, they didn't get a kill. All 4 victims escaped, and, you know, that's it. That's the end of the game. And, oh, I didn't have a lot of fun there. Maybe I'll try it again. Same thing happens. Boom. Fucking uninstall. And, you know, this is the problem that happened with Evil Dead as well. When they introduced the prestige system. Oh, I'm tired of repeating myself about it, but when people were Prestige 5 and they brought loads of new people in from PlayStation Plus as well, when people are already Prestige 5 of like Army of Darkness Ash just fucking stomping on people, brand new to the game, so many people from PlayStation Plus just went, oh, fuck this. I clearly don't stand a chance against people who've already played the game. Why am I bothering trying to get into this game right now? Because it's just not fair. So there you go. That's how it leads to losing new players and losing player retention, unfortunately. They did say that they're going to be bringing out some new family cosmetics in the next 60 days. So that, you know, probably is like start of January time, you know, around January, like mid-January time or whatever. We should see some new family cosmetics as well, which is great because I've said it's a bit bizarre. All we have is these bloody skins for, you know, Cook, Hitchhiker, Sissy, and Johnny. Obviously, Leatherface is the only one that has different outfits, so it's nice that we're finally getting some more outfits for them. I already said this, but we are getting the new family, the new map, and the new victim this month. So by the end of the month, we should be getting that as well as the big patch. They're also introducing a better report system in the game as well, so they can track down, you know, those naughty players. More voice lines are coming as well. I think in the last update, we actually got a new Sissy voice line where she starts whistling. But I'm not too sure about that. It's just something I heard, or at least it's a very rare voice line. But we are getting some more new voice lines added to the game. So another big one I wanted to talk about here is that they wanted to add the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre films to the game, but they're only in the talking stage about that. So obviously there's a lot of conversation that goes on with license holders. You know, it costs money to do the license fees to bring these characters into the game. Obviously around Twitter and stuff, you know, Bill Moseley was pictured at gun headquarters. So I feel like that might be happening relatively soon, if I'm being honest. I feel like there's a lot of discussion going in there, bringing in TCM 2 to the game. And they kept saying, unfortunately, they kept going back to talking about this Texas verse thing, because they were saying, well, it wouldn't make sense to bring in the characters from the franchises, or it wouldn't make sense to bring the characters in from the movies who were established in the timeline ahead of the game, because then we're kind of leading into a Texas verse where we're bringing all these characters in from different time zones and stuff, and it's not making sense to the game's lore. I don't like. I'm so tired of this shit for this game. Unfortunately, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun to play, but it's really being held back by this. We must make a movie interactive, immersed experience. Like, it's really fucking holding it back. We want to see, you know, these characters from the franchise, from the movies, just brought to the game. And you know, at the end of the day, we're gamers. We're playing a video game. We don't really care if it fucking makes sense. Okay, you can add in fucking Michael Myers in Fortnite. Who the fuck cares at this point? Obviously, TCM is set 3 months, I think, before the first movie. So, like, wouldn't make sense to all of a sudden see Stretch in there or see Chop Top. But you know, again, there's ways around that, I guess, if you want to make, like, have it make sense. But at the end of the day, you've got to treat this as a business, and you've got to see what sells. And in my opinion, in video games, 80 sells like fucking hotcakes. Bringing in Stretch, bringing in all the stuff from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is fucking vital for this game to have a future. You cannot sit around in this game, in the same time zone, in the same time frame for its lifespan. You cannot do that. You are going to lose players regardless if you add content from the first movie or not. It's just a fact. I feel like the first movie was a nice launch experience for the game, but it needs expanded upon with the future of Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. It needs adding them as expansions, honestly. There's just no way this game could survive if you just kept sticking to, oh, this is like set in April 1973 or whatever. It's just not going to fucking work. Or 1974, whenever the game is set in. You know, this is how much I care. You know, I'm level 99. I've probably got over 200 hours in the game. I don't know how many hours I've got. And I'm at this point, I've never looked into the lore. I know a lot of people are about lore in video games, but I think once you start giving your game a time setting to try and make it make sense, you're taking away what it is to be a video game, especially a multiplayer one that you want to treat as a live service game. So they need to look at that. They need to just probably just take it on the chin. They did say that, you know, they've at the point where maybe it is just time to move away from that and being so immersive and just start actually bringing out fire content, and you know, whether it makes sense or not, I think that needs to be a priority there. They did say there's no specific buffs for Sissy or Johnny or Sonny planned at the moment, but obviously they will be doing a lot more balancing. They're also doing some stealth buffs in the next patch as well, so we can see what that's going to be about in the upcoming patch. This is also another big one for all you thirsty individuals out there. They are bringing a shirtless Johnny to the game, mainly because the community was so nice about it, asking for it. So if you guys want those bikini outfits, I know you want them bikini outfits because you keep asking me and telling me in the chat, when are they going to add them? Just be nice and polite to Wes on Twitter asking for bikini outfits, and I guess you might see them. But if they're going to add shirtless Johnny, you can probably see them going to add that. If I'm being totally honest. Like I said, hopefully they've kind of realized that it's time to break the immersion a little bit and become a fucking video game, and that is what it's got to be. It's got to be important. There won't be a DC penalty ever, but they will fix entire lobby DC issues when players DC, so we'll see what happens with that one. No family house changes. It's the most balanced map according to the player metrics and the devs' example of how the game was intended to be played. This is mainly talking about the Valve. So someone asked, you know, the Valve is the least used escape really on the family house because it's so difficult to do. That's how they kind of perceive the Valve, and that's why they're making so many changes to the Valve as well. They wanted it to be, you know, the harder method to escape. That's why they're making it more difficult on Slaughterhouse, because Valve is so easy on Slaughterhouse. They said that a lot of people on the maps, on the other maps, were automatically going straight for the Valve and trying to make that work. So that's why they're not going to be really changing the family house too much at all, because the Valve is working as intended on Family House compared to the other maps there. So they probably won't be balancing Family House anytime soon. They're doing some language translations as well. I think like Russian, Chinese, and another one. I can't remember what it was. They did confirm if they did add Chop Top to the game, he would be a full playable character and brand new family member. He wouldn't just be a cameo or a skin or anything like that, which I think is a big win. Let's hope he's not a premium content, you know, $17 for Chop Top. I don't know about that. No weather effects will be added. Too expensive and too complicated. Now this one, again, probably out of my area expertise here, but you are on the Unreal Engine here, right? They did say that they didn't want to add weather to the game because, you know, it could be too expensive to do, as well as, you know, how would the rain interact with blood on the clothing? How would it, you know, interact with making, you know, muddy puddles? You know, would the victim step in some mud outside, run into the house, and leave a trail of mud behind? For me, I just want the atmosphere there. I don't think going too into detail about that. Obviously, you know, making the clothing look wet would be fair enough for me. I don't think you have to go too much into detail with that. You're not trying to be a AAA game here. You know, if you're being as simple as you are currently, adding weather cycles and weather effects doesn't have to look AAA like it did on Evil Dead the game, if I'm being totally honest. You don't need that to happen. You don't need to leave footprints in the mud or anything. I think if you look at Dead by Daylight, you know, it's sort of this arcadey horror multiplayer game. I think that's how Texas can be as well, where, you know, Dead by Daylight does have some rain on some maps to the point where, you know, maybe you just could add it for atmosphere purposes. You don't need to go too much into detail of that. And I think I speak for a majority of gamers there, where you kind of feel atmosphere is more important than the little details that go into that. Accordingly with it, you know, it's not like we're going to stand around, you know, in the mud running around in circles creating and just a footstep, you know, circle there, you know, just to distract the family or something. We're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be trying to draw dicks in the fucking mud because we can make footsteps. We're not going to do that. Although I know a lot of people would do that if that was the case. But you know, in terms of atmosphere and focus on horror, I think it would fucking suit it really well if we had rain. And they said it's too expensive to do, so it's probably something they're not going to do. However, from my point of view and in my opinion, it's something they should be doing, and it's something they should be doing on the cheap, like they like to do with the rest of the other stuff in this game. And, you know, introduce just a very simple weather cycle that doesn't affect the gameplay, but just affects the atmosphere. I think it's very important there. The next one, someone asked about Leatherface guarding the fuse exit downstairs. They said that's intended, you know, that it's intended in the game. You're a big dude, you're meant to be able to block it, so it's acceptable to them. Which I guess is fine. You know, at first I used to find it cheesy, but now it's just like, it's whatever. You know, if Leatherface is blocking that, I'm just gonna fucking run upstairs and do the valve or something like that. The only time I find it cheesy is when I'm playing solo. You know, I'm running against 3 family members and I'm trying to get out. My only option really is to get the fuse, and then it becomes a problem if I'm being honest. So it's more of a solo, you know, just final victim problem than it is, you know, them blocking the entire, like him blocking the entire squad from escaping from the fuse, which I have no problem with. It's just when you're a single victim by themselves and everyone else is dead, that's when it becomes a problem, and maybe they need to look at that a little bit more. There is new escape methods confirmed on the maps as well, so hopefully with the new map we'll be getting a new escape method, which should be interesting. I know someone spoke to me about this in my chat a little bit. They said that they did tease cars at one point, so we'll see what happens with that as well. But yeah, new escape methods would be really nice. Be interesting to see what they do with there. Obviously we know about this in the Muertos times. They did talk about it. They are looking into grappling interactions quite a lot. The grappling interactions not really up to what they want right now, but probably won't see it in the next patch, but the patch after that. Another couple of things they decided to add that I did miss that someone else has typed out in my comment section on one of my videos. I do appreciate dotty dot. I did miss a few things from the person on Reddit's notes. So they did say that they were going to add daily and weekly challenges in the future as well. I did forget that they said that. I think that's very important. Again, having daily and weekly challenges, something to play for. Again, player retention, very, very important there. And they plan to add a crossplay toggle to include and exclude PC players. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, the queue times didn't really spike up a lot for when they added PC people to the game, but you know, a lot of people on console are probably going to turn that off. I probably won't turn it up because I play with people on from PC, but unfortunately that is the case that's going to be happening. They may be adding crossplay toggle to include and exclude PC players in the future, which sucks. They also will be, also in the next patch, it will include quality of life fixes, including stuck spots. So people getting stuck, you know, if you play Leatherface, I've been stuck quite a lot with that. You know, you do an execution, you get stuck in a fucking rock or a staircase, they're going to be fixing that as well. And the last thing they touched on was about the connections. You know, people getting the prompts in something about ping being too large to play or something. I don't know. It's on a different side of the world to me. People are having these server problems, unfortunately, but they did say that's being fixed and worked on as well. All right, so I just want to say thank you, Starfish Manga on Reddit. If you do see this video, I did use your notes here because I didn't write my own down. I didn't do my own homework. I was too busy hopping between streams, talking to different people, and I didn't have the right tools really to write down anything all the time because I was just trying to listen to different streamers. I was trying to listen to them, and yeah, it was kind of impossible for me to get my own notes down, but it's nice someone in the Reddit community there was able to do that, so I could kind of, you know, break it down for you guys in a little more digestible format. But you know, overall I think it was a decent dev Q&A. There was a lot of L's to take from it. There was some W's there. There's probably a lot of stuff that we didn't want to hear, but there's still some good stuff in there that we did want to hear. Like I said, there's going to be some interesting changes coming later this month, you know, with Leatherface not being required to start the match anymore. Seeing how fast we can get in the lobbies that way, seeing the different chemistries and squads we can develop on the family side there will be very, very fucking interesting. I can't wait to check all that out. I feel like that's what I've been missing for the game, honestly. I feel like just, you know, having something like this to look forward to, seeing oh, a big shift in the gameplay. You know, Leatherface isn't going to be required in the game anymore. How is this going to look in the game, and how is it going to feel? Hopefully it works well. Hopefully we see, you know, people are still getting killed, and, you know, not loads of victims just rushing out of the game. Hopefully we can see a nice little shift here in the meta in terms of, you know, let's hope it doesn't break the game as some broken, you know, family comps out there where we have, you know, Johnny as the new Leatherface, and, you know, we have Cook and Hitchhiker, then it just feels really impossible to get out. Hopefully that's not the case, but maybe he's, you know, playing without Leatherface is going to be too hard or too difficult in the family where victims are just going to get out straight away. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But like I said, I feel like seeing something like this is definitely going to be a big interest for me. And I think the biggest win for me was seeing that we're going to have the currency in the game, you know, something earnable, something that we can look at in terms of, you know, progressing our characters. Unfortunately, they never talked about the prestige system. They did have a question about that, but they kind of skipped over it because it was part of another question. So unfortunately, we didn't get to hear anything about the prestige system. But again, I think that might be something they're looking at in the future. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, it was nice to see a dev Q&A from them. This is the first one they've done since the game come out. They did say that they're probably looking at doing more of these in the future as well. They do something this called Beyond. I don't know. I've never heard that before. They are doing something called Beyond, where they will be doing some Q&As on there. So they're not doing, you know, 2-hour dev Q&As every, you know, few months. So something that's where they're going to be a bit more, you know, a bit more communication with us. I think that's going to be fine, honestly. However, I think the biggest L for me to take from this was the talk about no roadmap. I think that's a big letdown, and the fact that they only have content planned for the next 6 to 9 months. I think that's kind of a red flag, if I'm totally being honest. I did ask them about a battle pass. Unfortunately, they didn't answer my question about that, but hopefully in the next dev Q&A I can get them that, or I can ask them on Twitter and they might be nice enough to respond to me about that, because I really think battle passes are very big in player retention, and it's something they should be looking at as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helped you be more informed about what happened on the dev stream there. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you guys think about everything I've just told you guys from the dev Q&A, what you think of the dev Q&A. Are you happy with the answers? Are you happy with the questions that were answered as well? Feel free to leave them down below. Hit that sub button as well for more Texas Chainsaw Massacre content and for multiple other games. And I've been Pixel, my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.